Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi, CHULLIN Daf Yud Ches. We begin 4 lines off the top. So this pretty much picks up from where we left off yesterday. Actually, in the middle of yesterday's Daf, we discussed this point about showing, right? There is a requirement to show, not just to inspect the knife prior to Shechita, to show it to the Rav, to the Chacham in town. This practice was established by the Chachamim in order to uphold and to solidify, to cement the standing of the Rav. So every butcher is meant to do that before he begins his day's work. Amar Rav Huna, says Rav Huna, let's say the tabach, the butcher, the shechet did not present his knife to the chacham prior to shchita. Hai tabcha, this shechet, the lo yisara sakina, who didn't present his knife, coming chacham to the chacham, misham tinalei. We put him in chayram. Rashi says it's based on a Gemara in Brachos Daf Yutes. We do that in severe instances where there's an act of disgrace against the Rav. Menadan al kavod harav, and likewise this fellow who ignored the Rav's position, the Rav's role in this matter, deserves to be excommunicated. So according to Rav Huna, the penalty is cherem, nidui. V'Rava Amar, we take it a step further. Marinale, we depose him, fire him from the job. We announce, we declare that his basar, anything that he shechts, is non-kosher. Streifa. Says the Gemara, there really is no machlokes between these two opinions. They talk about different cases. Kan. Rav Huna, who limits his penalty to merely nidui, is speaking where the knife was discovered to be intact. It's just that he acted disrespectfully to the Rav. He deserves that penalty, but his basar is kosher. Kan b'shaloinim says sakina yafa. Rava, however, speaking where turns out not only didn't he act responsibly in terms of going to the Rav out of respect, out of kavod, he was reckless in terms of using a disqualified knife, a knife that's possible. And therefore we announce, going forward, anything that he shechts is considered treif. Ravina takes it up a step further. He says, if it turns out his knife was blemished, we take it even further. If his knife turns out to be possible, not only shouldn't we eat his basar, he can't even sell it to a guy. We dirty it with animal waste. Meaning to say that you can't even sell it to a guy. There was a story, a fellow who did not show his knife to the Chacham, the Loisar Sakina. He didn't bring his knife, he didn't show it to the Kamei the Rava Bar Chinana, who was the Rav in town, Rabbi Bar Chinana. And Shamte, so he put him into Chayrim. Ve'abri, and he removed him from his post. So he came down very harsh on him. And furthermore, Ve'achru zabisri de trefi, and he announced, he declared that all the basar that he shechted is trefa. So he went with the full brunt of the law. cherem, fired him, and all the basar that he shechted, mulshecht, is treifa. In accordance with the very severe approach we had earlier. And this is even where they found the knife to be okay. So he took it even a step further. He says, you have to go all out. Now it turns out that Iklahu, to his good fortune, there were some visitors in town. Who came to town? Mar Zutra and Rav Ashi L'Gabei. They came to visit the Rav of Bar Chanina. When they came in, Amar, so the Rav tells them, look, you know, the story with the butcher, La'ainu Rabba b'milsei. Please, if you can, you know, look into this story, look well. Investigate this matter, b'milsei, and this matter of this person. Let's see if there's any way we can reinstate him. The Tolu Bey Tafle, because he has Tafle, little youngsters, little kids that are dependent upon him for sustenance. And now he has no income. Okay, so Rav Ashi got to work. But Rav Ashi, the first thing, Rav Ashi checked the knife. Checked his knife and discovered it to be okay. So he reinstated him. Because, according to Rav Ashi, the halacha that we say that that he can't do, what we said that he can't shecht anymore, that's only when it turns out that his knife was chipped. But in this case, so he turned to Rav Ashi, you're not concerned about the honor of the elder of Rav Bar Chanina, was the Rav of the city. I mean, he fired him, and you're going to go reinstate him? Amar Lei, so Rav Ashi says quite the contrary. He asked me to try to figure out a route to get him back in there. Shlichu say, his bidding, Kavdina we're doing. So there's no reason to go back and consult with him. It's not disrespectful. It's the opposite. He asked us. He wants me to try to resolve it, and I did. Amar Rabba Bar Huna, Shein Telusha. There's one. There's a cheek of an animal with a tooth. Can I use it for shchita? V'tziper telusha, or a nail, fingernail that's off the. It's been torn up and shorn up and cut off, and it's nice and sharp. Muta lushchat balachatchil. You can do shchita, no problem. Really, when the Mishnah we seem to say that you can't use these materials in lieu of a knife. But now we have a Mishnah, chutz magal kotzer, you can't use a sickle, a megero, or a sov, a shinayim, teeth, that's your fingernails. They choke, they tear the simana, rather than properly cutting it. And here you're allowing use of teeth, of nails. The answer regarding the teeth is as follows. Depends if it's just one alone, then you can do it. Just go back and forth enough time. Habitarti. In the Mishnah, we're talking that it's two together. It's a series of teeth. And since they're not one singular continuum, right? It's like a saw with ditches in the middle. So then it's not kasha. Tzipor like kasha regarding the contradiction concerning the nails. Habat lusha, when we allow a nail to be used, that's when it's detached. Hamuchaberes, the Mishnah speaking that it's still attached. And if it's attached, well, Rebbe told us that you can't use back enough at Tezvav, you can't use something which is still attached. Says the Mishnah, b'magal kasr, b'derech halichas. So this is a sickle whose teeth are leaning in one direction, very, very slanted in one direction. So technically, if you go the other way, you gloss over the bumps, and it should be a proper shchita. B'derech halichasa, so you do it going forward, in which case you're not really encountering the pointy side of the bumps of the teeth. Beishamai Paislan, no, they say it's not a good shchita. We'll see why. Ubesil Machshirin, they say it's okay. So if he goes against the teeth, against the grain, of course it's a problem. It tears, it rips. If you go over the backs of these slants, you haven't really encountered the sharp edges. Now let's say he went and he removed the teeth. He trimmed the teeth off. Now you have just a plain single blade. Then fine, Harehi Kasak, and then it's fine. It's like a knife. We're not concerned that perhaps he'll go and use a regular sickle. No, it's okay. Now, according to Beis Hillel, if he did it the right way, it's okay. Bishamaya Paislan, Beis Hillel Machshir. Now, to what extent are Beis Hillel allowing this? You can actually consider it kosher food and eat it? Or do we say, well, it's just not a dead animal, you did shchita, but you still shouldn't eat it because you might not do it properly? Even though Beis Hillel say that it's kosher, that doesn't mean you can eat it, because you might inadvertently slide the sickle the wrong way. They only consider it a non-nevela. It's not going to have tumah like a dead animal. It's considered like it was shechted. Aval ba'achila asura, you can't eat it. Amar Rashi deikanami. I'll even prove it to you from the wording of the Mishnah. The choice of words in the Mishnah indicate as such. That it's only a matter of avoiding the nevela status, but not to actually eat it. The Tani, the Mishnah says, "Beishamai Poislin, u'Besil Machshirin." Right? Why do we speak about psul and kasher? Just say it's forbidden, it's permitted. If in fact you can eat it. Like Tani, it doesn't say Beishamai Oisrin, they prohibit, u'Besil Armatirin, they allow. Apparently nobody allows actual consumption. Just a matter of salvaging it from tumah. Well, Tamech, according to what you're asking, it's just about whether it's tamei or not. So why doesn't the Mishnah directly reference tumah and tahara? Listening should say Beishamai Amritamin, because it's like an avela. Beisil Matar, and they consider it not tar. Ella. So you have to say that you can't really dwell on the semantics, because Paislin or Machshirin, right? These two contrasts, Paisl and Machshir, and the other set of Va'isrin and Matirin, Chadam will say it's really one and the same thing. They're close enough, they mean the same thing. So, even though the Mishnah chose Pasul and Kosher, it's just another way of saying Asur and Mutar, and of course, according to Beis Hillel, you can eat it as well. Continues the Mishnah. So now we're going to proceed to describe the precise location in the kana. The kana is the trachea, the windpipe. Where do we do the cut? Where is the shechita meant to take place? So we're meant to know that the kana is comprised of several layers and several sections, several zones of material. The inner layer, which we'll call the kana itself, is a fleshy, skin sort of membrane, which is a full circle, full pipe of soft, fleshy material, which is surrounded with a protective cartilage, which the Mishnah and the Gemara call tabais, rings. They ring around the kana. Now, there are two types of rings. So we'll picture the kana from lower to higher, working our way up towards the throat of the animal. The lower area has smaller tabais, and they don't come full circle around the kana. They form a circle, but not a complete circle. They're then connected by this fleshy material, the inner layer of fleshy kana material. So the actual cartilage doesn't come full circle. It's mostly around, but it doesn't really actually connect as a full circle. Then we move up to the tabas hagdoila, the big ring on top, closer to the throat. That one does come full circle. It forms a full and complete ring. Beyond that, we'll call it zone 3. So zone 1 are the smaller rings, which don't come full circle. Zone 2 is the larger ring, which comes around full circle. Zone 3 is above that, which the Gemara calls the kaiva, like a helmet, like a hat, which is wide, then it narrows called shipua kaiva, where it narrows, it comes to like a point. And that forms the opening, the upper opening at the throat, the opening of the trachea. That's too far to do shchita. But where do we do shchita? Is it only in the lower section? What about the tabas hagdoila? What about in the helmet itself? In the wide section, the lower part of that helmet, the wide section. Okay, let's take it one at a time. It says the Mishnah, Shechem Techat Habas. In this Mishnah, we imply that the shchita is meant to be the tabai, the big one. Okay, so if it's in the big one, you're okay. But let's say he veers out. He starts in the tabas, but then he cuts and he veers above, outside that range, into zone 3. Again, zone 1 being the small tabois, zone 2 the big tabas, zone 3 is the helmet area. So the Mishnah implies that it's no good to actually do the shechita above the tabas. We'll see in the Gemara there's an opposing view, which is exactly how we paskin actually. But in this Mishnah we learned that the shechita can't be above zone 2. So let's say he starts within zone 2, within the tabas, the big one, and then sort of veers his knife upwards. As long as he leaves a hair's breadth, a drop of the tabas material uncut. So he cuts through the whole thing, of course, yeah, but in terms of veering out, he hasn't veered out. He veered and veered and veered, but still stayed just within the tabas. So after the cut, he takes a look and he sees there's a drop, malayachut, apnei kula, all around, a full circle of tabas hagdoila material, which still was uncut, meaning he didn't go above any of the tabas, he stayed within it completely. Okay, saves the day, it's okay. It's a perfectly kosher shchit. But if he veers out even a drop, according to Rabbanan, we don't say, well, the most is okay, as long as it was mostly, it's not enough. It has to be completely within the tabas hagdoila. And Rashi says it's halacha Moshe Sinai, that's called hagrama. Right? We spoke about hagrama, here it is. Hagrama means veering out. You have to stay within zone 2. You go above it, even a drop, it's possible. However, Rabbi Daimir says no. Why not apply the same concept of roiv as we do anywhere? Apply it here. As long as there's a chut, a drop of that tabas, most of the way around, so he's 51% inside the tabas hagdoila, even if he veers out starting 52, that's good, because it was mostly in the right place. In fact, Rav Shmuel, they both paskin like this shita, Damar Tavai, they both told us halacha k'Rabbi that as long as the majority was within the tabas hagdoila, you're okay. Number 1. Number 2, what about zone 1, the small tabois, which, as we explained, don't really come full circle. Can you shech through them? Even he only allowed ella b'tabas hagdoila. If you cut through the large one, zone 2. Why? Because since that ring comes around full circle, it qualifies as kana. It's considered pipe material, considered kana. And therefore cutting through it is called a proper shechita. Since it surrounds, it encircles the entire kana. But if he should do shechita, if he should drop down into zone 1, and if you would cut, we're not talking about veering now, just plain clean cut into the small tabois, that's no good. Why? Because those tabois those rings don't qualify as kana. They're just a protective shield because they don't come full circle. They're not really considered kana material. Kana means a pipe, a full circular pipe. They're not. So if you want to do shechita in zone 1, you have to make sure that you cut between the rings. So you slice the straight into the soft material beneath the rings, which of course qualifies as kana. It's full circle, it's a full pipe. Interesting. So if you cut on the ring itself, it's possible, but between the rings, directly into the flesh, which is the real kana, that's okay. Now the Gemara is going to take issue with the second halacha. Really? Ubeshar tabois law, you can't do shchita on the other rings in zone 1, Vatanya. Rabbi Yisrael himself, he tells us, ha-shoichet, between Talmud Bavli, ha-shoichet b'shar tabois, if one does shchita on the other rings in zone 1, even though they don't come full circle around the kana, since they come around most of the way, again, we apply the concept of roiv. They're considered kana, shtasik shera. Okay, we'll get back to this in a moment. Now the Brisa continues. Umugremes psula. We're meant to know that this is the Shitas Rabbanon. Rashi explains. We're going back to the Rabbanon now. That even if you should veer out a little bit, it's possible. So again, we're back up to zone 2, the big tabas, big ring. You got to be completely in there. If you veer out even a drop, it's possible. We disregard the fact that it was mostly in the right place. It has to be completely in the right location. However, hey, Rabbi Chanina ben Antignois, he testified. This is going to make a big wave. We're going to see later. This is a different shita now, who allows even in zone 3 in the helmet area. He testified Almogremes Shikshira, that even if you're completely out of the big circle, big ring, even if you're in zone 3, you're good. And although we have the halacha of Hagrama, says Rashi, what does that mean? Hagrama is possible. According to him, it's always kosher. There's no way you can do harm. No, you could. If you go beyond that area, you go beyond zone 3, you go where the helmet narrows, that's throat. That's not considered kana. So he's even adding a third zone. Okay, so again, let's just clarify. We're talking about 3 different areas. Let's work our way from bottom to top, upwards towards the throat. So we have the small ring area, which according to Rabbi Shmuel, you can only cut if you get between the rings, not on the rings themselves. We have the next section, the large ring, zone 2. You cut through that ring, you're okay. What if you veer out a drop? Rabbanon say pasal, Rabbi read this as kosher. What about zone 3 and the helmet area? And the wide part of that helmet area, according to Rabbi Antignos, it's okay. So we're left with the kasha now, because how could Rabbi Shmuel present that according to Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, zone 1 on bottom, the small rings don't qualify? We're in this Brisa, he clearly says even the tabois, shar tabois is okay at zone 1. Amar Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef comes and explains for us that you're right. Rabbi Shmuel were not presenting Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda's shita in this regard. It was their own opinion. He allows it; they don't. Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda Tartik Amar, he was really telling us 2 separate halachas. One is regarding zone 2. If you veer out a little bit, it's okay as long as you're mostly in there. And one regarding zone 1, the small tabois, where you're okay regardless. Rabbi Shmuel, however, only adopted one opinion, one halacha, and disputed the other one. Rabbi Shmuel is sabrik avasei bechada. On the one hand, regarding the question of zone 2, the big tabas, they adopted his opinion. Roiv is enough. Whereas regarding the other halacha, they disagreed with him. He held that you could shecht in zone 1, wherever, and they disagreed. But if you look back at the wording that they used, they're clearly referring to him. After they present the first halacha regarding zone 2, they say, "Oh, even he only allowed in zone 2." Not, they're clearly relating to him, not their personal opinion. No, let's modify. Let's re-explain what they mean. They didn't mean to present his shita. They meant to say like this: halacha kamoisai. We pick, we adopt his view regarding the zone 2 question, the roiv question, but not regarding the other question. Regarding the zone 1 question, we disagree with him. We don't pass like that. We have a story about Rabbi Zera, who, as we know, he moved up to Eretz Yisrael. When Rabbi Zera came up from Bavli and relocated to Eretz Yisrael, he ate meat mugremes that was shechted in a manner which is called hagrama to Rabbi Shmuel, which means to say that there was a shechita in zone 1 on the rings, which according to Rabbi Shmuel, that's possible. And in Bavli, they adhered to Rabbi Shmuel's opinion. That's where they lived, that was their malkim. So how did he consider this to be kosher? Relates to the local people, turn to him and says, Lav Me'asrei, don't you come from the city of the Rabbi Shmuel? Don't you come from Rabbi Shmuel's place? How could you be lenient on this matter? Amr Lahus, he says, no, it's unreliable. Man Amra, who was the one who presented this whole halacha, the name of Rabbi Shmuel? Wasn't it Yosef Bar Chia, right? Rashi says, actually, Rabbi Yosef, throughout the Shas, is Yosef Bar Chia. It was him, right? It isn't necessarily, reliable. Yosef Bar Chia, mikuli alma gomer. He learned from everybody. Meaning he collects the halachas that he hears from this person, from that person. It isn't necessarily reliable. And, 100% researched, and yeah. So I disagree with that. With the accuracy of the halacha, and I don't adhere to it. Now, Shama Rabbi Yosef Ikpid, Rabbi Yosef heard that he was being dismissed, and he wasn't very happy. Amar, he says, me? Whatever I say is 100% properly researched. He says, Ano, Mikuli Alma Gamirna, you think I just collect information from people? My sources are 100% reliable, properly researched. Ano, Rabbi Yehuda Gamirna, I learned from Rabbi Yehuda, who was very meticulous in terms of naming his sources, even with accuracy, and he would even cite, multiple, names of, possible sources. If he wasn't sure who he heard it from, he would say this name and that name, just to, for accuracy. He quoted this halacha. He wasn't sure, was it from Rab or was it from Shmuel? Safek Mishmei the Rab, Safek Mishmei the Shmuel. Regarding halacha of a bechor, you have a firstborn kosher animal. If it's blemished, you can just eat it. You don't have to bring it as a carbon. Who can determine? Usually you get a mumcha, an expert. You don't have a mumcha. Even shloisha, 3 ordinary people, matir and bechor, can confirm the status of a bechor and determine that he has a mum and allow you to take it. But mokim shein mumcha, if you don't have an expert around. In any case, clearly, he took his sources very seriously. Even the names, Rav, maybe Rav, maybe Shmuel. Okay, so that was the end of that episode. In any case, Rabbi Zera took a lenient approach to this whole question. Despite the fact that he originated from Bavli, but since he was in Eretz Yisrael, where evidently they were not machmer on this, so he transitioned to the local custom. Asked the Gemara, how could you do that? Don't you have to maintain the laws of the place that you came from, and as well as the local place? Rabbi Zera Leslie doesn't hold that the halacha, the Mishnah, noisten all of a person transitions from one town to the next, where there is a difference of opinion. He has to maintain the practice of his old place of residence, as well as adapt to the local customs as well. We applied to him the stringencies of the location where he came from, and the stringencies of the local place, where he arrived, where he's present now. So Reb Zera just sort of discard of the chumrah that went on, that they practiced in Bavli. Amar Abaye, yeah, that's only when you're going from one place to the other of equal stature. But if you're going from Bavli to Eretz Yisrael, which is in a higher plane, where the authorities are of a higher standing in terms of halacha, right? Rashi says they do Iber HaChodesh, Kiddush HaChodesh, Iber HaShana. Knasses, penalties are only meted out in Eretz Yisrael, not in Bavli, so their standing of authority is higher. So if you're here, you don't have to hold on to the halachis, practices of Bavli. It's not considered disrespectful. You're adopting a higher the rulings of the higher authorities. Amar Rabbi Hanami, that's only true in Bavli to Bavli. If you're relocating from one province in Bavli to the other, Eretz Yisrael, Inami or Eretz Yisrael, you go down LeBavli, so you have to keep the old practice. Avim Bavli Eretz Yisrael, but if you're traveling up from Bavli to Eretz Yisrael, which is considered an upgrade, since we in Bavli are subservient to the authorities of Eretz Yisrael, to the Sanhedrinites, we can go by their customs. Rav Ashi Yamar, he says, look, afilu tema mi Bavli Eretz Yisrael. Even if this concept of maintaining your old practices would apply even when a person relocates Eretz Yisrael from Bavli. Yeah, but that's only if he plans on returning home. So that's still considered your place of residence. You have to maintain those practices, those customs. Hani mila, it's only true. Last year you plan on going back. Reb Zera came here for good. Right? The whole story of Zera, he even fasted, that he forget the Torah that he learned in Bavli. He wanted to start fresh with clarity. So he was here for serious, for good. Reb Zera ain't that last year. So certainly he can transition to the local customs. Amar le Abaye Rav Yosef. So he turned to Rav Yosef. He says, how could you say that, according to Rabbi Shmuel, a shechita that took place in zone 1, the small tabois is possible. But Rabbanan, also Mechayza, the Rabbanan that come from the town of Mechayza, which is in Bavli as well, Amri, they maintain, Amr Rav Zera, Shmid Rav Nachman, Megremis is ksheira. This type of megremis is okay. Amalis, he says, it's not a contradiction. Each town has its own flow, its own local practices. Nahara. River by river, Upashtei in its flow. So each place has its own minig. Now comes a chiddush. Up until now we spoke about shchita in zone A, zone B. What about zone C, up on top on the helmet? Rab Shimon ben Lakish Achshar, he allowed b'chuda dekaiva, a shchita that cut through the tip of the helmet, all the way on top. Rabbi Yechon wasn't very happy. Currently applied to him. Rabbi Yechon called out Gisa. Gisa is like God, fat, too big. You've gone too far. That's beyond the range. As we're going to learn later, it has to be at least on the lower part of that helmet. Mishipa kaiva lamata. The wide part downward, not upward. Amar Papa Mishmei the Rav. Here's another directive regarding location. Paga b'chiti treifa. So chiti are these little granules, like little grains of wheat, that are embedded inside the kana. Which part? Zone C, the helmet area. It's around where it starts widening. So it's like sort of in the middle of that helmet, which starts getting narrow. So it's like sort of in the middle, the wide part where it starts getting, that's where the chiti are. So if he cuts through and he hits the chiti, it's too far gone, it's too far up, that's treifa. Now he said paga. What does paga mean? He actually cut through them, or he just veered very close to them without actually attacking them? Paga v'nagaben doesn't mean that he actually cut through them. As we find, vayivka b'vayamayis, vayivka means he actually attacked him. Or paga means v'loy naga. He went very close, he encountered it, but didn't actually touch or cut through it. We find by Yaakov Avinu, vayivku b'machal akim, that they came and they encountered him, and they met him, but they didn't actually, assault him. Chas v'shalom. So we're not really sure. Itmar Amar Papa Mishmei the Rava. So another quote in the name of Rava: Shir b'chutik shira. That if he cuts through the helmet and he leaves over a bit of those chiti, right? So above where he cut, there's still some chiti. So he didn't clear the chiti. He didn't go above the chiti, he cut through them, then it's still okay, you're still in the right area. Amar Rav Ameimar, some take out the word Rav. Amar Ameimar bar Mar Yenuka, that was his name. Havakaim, I was standing kamei in front of the Rav Chia by the Rav Avya. Amalini told me the same thing. Shir b'chitei kshira. As long as he left some over. But if he clears them completely, goes above them, that's too far. Amarli Ravina l'Ravashi. Amarli, to me, he said, Rav Saman Misuvra. What happened? There was a story, Ikla Mar Zutra, when Zutra came last run to our town. V'darish, and he taught us Shir B'chitik Shir, like we said before. Ma Ravashi Amar, Poga B'chitik Shira, Shir B'chitik Trefa. He's Machmer. If you cut till the chiti without actually going through, that's okay, that's low enough. But Shir B'chiti, if you want to go higher enough that you actually cut through the chiti, that's Trefa. But the Gemara rules otherwise. Let's move on to the next one. What's the halacha l'maisa? Mishipui kaiva l'mata k'sheira b'haina the sheira chiti. You can shecht in zone 3 into the helmet as long as it's mishipui kaiva l'mata. So the helmet is called a kaiva, right, like a hat. Shipui is where it starts narrowing, coming to a point. If you're beneath that, you're okay, and that's exactly sheira b'chiti. As long as you're in the chiti, not above the chiti. In fact, Rav Nachman also, Achshar, he allowed Mishipa Kaiva Lamata. Amali Rav Chana bar Rav Katina Rav Nachman. Who's your source? I mean, we had, in the Mishnah we discussed zone B, right? The large tabas. Nobody seemed to allow zone 3 and the helmet. Come on, right? Who are you going like? Amali Rav Chana bar Rav Katina Rav Kamal, like Rabbanon, like Rav Yisrael Yehuda. Not like the Rabbanon, who insist that you stay completely within the large ring, and not like Rav Yisrael Yehuda, who says, mostly, but certainly not out of it. Right? You have to be mostly within it, but if you're above it, you're no good. Amar Leis, he says, he used a vernacular expression. He says, I know, look, I don't know, by hook, by crook, I don't know about chilik, nor about biluk. It's an expression, meaning, I'm not sure, where you're coming from. I know there's Rabbanon, I know, but I have a different source. I know Shmata Yidan. I'm coming from a halacha of the Amoraim, the Beis HaMedrash. That's it. That allow shchita in this area. Dar Chia bar Abba Amar B'Yechan v'Amar Samse Amar Abba bar Zavda Amar Chanina v'Amar Samse Amar Yaakov bar Idi Amar Shema Levi Mishipa Kaivel Mata Kshera. Okay, so not only zone A, not only zone B, even zone C. Okay, so as long as you're Mishipa Kaivel Mata, that's the edge of the range, that's okay. V'Amar Shema Levi. He says like the interesting sort of equation. Mugremes to Rabbanon, Ksheira Labreis Yehuda. What the Rabbanon consider as Mugremes, as Hagrama, as veering too far out, such as when you do Shchita in zone B, but you veer out even a little bit, it's possible, it's Mugremes. That Mugremes is acceptable, according to Rabbi Yehuda. Because he says, look at the ripe. It was mostly inside, it's okay. Next step. And what's considered Hagrama, like according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you're out of zone B, right? He only allows if you're mostly within, but let's say you're out. With Rabbi Yehuda, guess what? Ksher is fully acceptable, perfectly kosher. The Rabbi Chanina ben Antignos. Right? If you look back, right? Let's recall Rabbi Chanina ben Antignos back on the Chesamot Beis, on the 3rd, 4th line here. He was made al Megremes Shekshera. Right? The Megremes that we're talking about, the Rabbanon's Megremes. Yehuda's Megremes, the whole Megremes that we're talking about. If you're out of zone B, which we consider Hagrama, no, it's kosher. As long as you're in zone C, you're good. Says Mapshita, well, of course, you just work this out step by step. There are 3 different zones, 3 different opinions, right? Says the Gemara, what's Rabbi Shimon Levi presenting here? Perhaps there's room for error. There's room to think that nobody allows zone C. And all the Rabbi Chanina ben Antignos testified that Mugremes is kosher. Which Mugremes? Perhaps he's talking about the Rabbanon's more simple Mugremes. Rabbanon talking that he did a shchita in zone B and he veered out just a little bit. So despite the fact that it was mostly inside, it's for Mugremes. So perhaps he was being matter with that, like Rabbi Yehuda, you go with the right. Well, the Talmud Bavli Antignos wasn't allowing up in zone C. At the Rabbanan Kai, he was merely going back to the Rabbanan. And there, Megremes, he says, is okay. If you veer out a little bit, but if you're beyond, completely beyond, it's certainly no good. Kamash Malon comes up Shimon Levi, says, no. He didn't mean that. He meant even in zone C, completely out of the large tabas, completely in the helmet. How do you know? Maybe the first way is better. Maybe in fact he was just allowing a partial veering, not completely out. If that were the case, Heid Olemi Boile. You know, if you look back at his Lashon, he says like this, Heid, right? Al-Mugremes. Why do you say Al-Mugremes? We're talking about Mugremes. A second ago we said Mugremes Psula, which is the Rabbanan's Mugremes. He veered out a little bit. He should go back on that. He says, he should say, Heid Olei, Shikshera. This is kosher. Why you start again? Heid, right? Until Al-Mugremes, like starting fresh. He's talking about a different type of Mugremes. What it means to say is that even if it's completely out of zone B, which everybody consider Megremes up until this point. No, I say it's kosher. As long as you're in zone C, below the point, it's okay. So we learn from there that according to Rechina and Tignus, you can shecht even in zone C, as long as it's Miship Kavelamat. And that's the Allah of Rechina and Tignus. Why do we pass like that? Because Rav Nachman concurred with that. The Koyer Rav Nachman went along with this, because he passed as well. You can do the Shechita in zone C, Miship Kavelamat. Okay, so let's just quickly recap. We spoke about the requirement to have the Chacham examine the Sakin. If one fails to do so, it's a gross showing of disrespect, and he's penalized. To what extent? It depends on the severity of his behavior, whether the Sakin turned out to be apostle as well. We spoke about using a single shane as opposed to a cluster, which is like a bumpy knife, which is puzzle. We spoke about using tzipurin. Detached is okay. Mechuberes, that's puzzle according to Rebbe. You can't shecht with something which is mechuber. What are the magal kotzer? If you shecht the smooth way, according to Basil, it's okay. According to Shammai, we're concerned. We don't want to get involved in this, so it's puzzle. And what is the outer range of shchita in the kana? So we spoke about zone A, which is a small tabois, which according to Rabbi Shmuel, shchita has to take place between the tabois, but not on the tabois themselves. According to other shittas, even tabois itself is okay. We have the zone B, right, which is the tabas agdol, which all agree is okay, because that's a full circle tabas, qualifies as kana. What if he veers out just a little bit? According to the Risi, that's okay, because you go with the rave. According to Rabban, it's possible to be completely in the tabas. We have the shita regarding shechting above that in the kaiva. You paskin that you shecht in the kaiva, mishipu kaiva lamata. It's within range and it's kosher. All the best to you and atzlacha Rabbah.